you've got to experiment. I mean, I think that it's intimidating at first and just getting in there, getting your hands dirty. Yeah.
It's such an important reminder that like leadership is in this age of AI isn't about having all the answers, but it's like creating the right culture.
Product managers are going to have a very hard time keeping up if they're not using AI.
Hey everybody, welcome back to AI with Bry, the show where we dive deep into how to learn, leverage, and lead with AI. I'm your host, Brian Denstead. I'm a technologist, strategist, and someone who's endlessly curious about how AI is reshaping our work, our relationships, and what it means to be human. Each week, I'm joined by someone who's not just talking about AI, but actually building with it, helping leaders and organizations adapt and innovate and drive meaningful change. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome to the show Brooks Morrison. He's a principal product leader at TechCXO, where he helps companies translate emerging technologies into real business results. Brooks has worked with organizations of all sizes to design smarter systems, align strategy and execution, and now guide leaders through rapid transformation that AI is bringing to almost every function of work. From integrating AI into decision-making and reshaping the role of executive leadership, Brooks brings a grounded operational perspective that I think a lot of leaders will find refreshing. Brooks, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for that intro, and thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Well, let's dive straight into it. Like, this first section is really about learning. Like, what have you been learning the most about AI lately? Like, it's changing so fast, so rapidly. What's something you've learned in the past couple of weeks that you want the whole world to know about, or they should double click on and play with?
I've been digging deep into the Agentic AI. I really think that that's kind of the next step for the average Joe, average person on the street, a non-technical user like myself. You know, ChatGPT is great, can generate content, can do your research for you. But I've really been digging in on how we can leverage Agentic AI to really help ourselves scale. And I think that that's going to be the gasoline on the fire here. I really think in the next few months or maybe year, unlocking that for the average person is just going to be a game changer. Lets you vibe code your life, basically, you know?
That's right. I mean, it's one thing to ask the ChatGPT, like, hey, help me with this or help me solve that problem. But when you can really get AI to go deeper with you, it brings a more human-like quality to it, right?
Right. I don't know if you've seen, I mean, ChatGPT has that it's rudimentary now, but that agent feature where it can go do and query things. And I mean, from my perspective as a product manager, you know, I can mock up a Figma, I can have that read it and give me user feedback in like 20 minutes. I mean, I've really been digging in on things like that. It's insane. It's a game changer.
Yeah. Have you seen, what was the website? Mobbins?
No.
You have to check out Mobbins, and then there's obviously like Shad CN. There's all these product frameworks now that are building these huge knowledge libraries, and you give the MCP tool to a Claude or a ChatGPT, and somebody like you can be super dangerous. So
yeah. It's like I said, giving us the ability to vibe code our whatever role we're in. Like that's the vision and that's the future, and yeah, it's very exciting.
So what are some of the day-to-day tools that you are using? You mentioned ChatGPT. Are you a ChatGPT fan, a Claude fan? You playing with all of them?
I try to touch all of them. I think there's different use cases for each of them. ChatGPT, I think they're the mainstay. I used to do a decent amount with Perplexity, focusing on the research side. And, some of the new research tools that ChatGPT has don't really need to use Perplexity that much. Honestly, I use Perplexity more to fact check ChatGPT after I get do some research there, make sure it's all kosher, it makes sense. But yeah, Claude, I've been using it's a tool called Spec Kit, where it'll check your repo in your local environment and generate requirements and specifications from that. Been using that tool a lot lately. Again, I'm just trying to dive in more on how to make the product management role scale with these tools.
I love it. I agree. And it's interesting. Like, it's this giant learning curve. Like, that's why I want to start with this learning segment as we're talking through it. Like, for teams that are just starting to explore AI, like they've got their boss's permission finally, or maybe they were finishing up a really tough project. Like, they're just starting to get their feet wet with it. Like, what's the right mindset to bring? Like, what would you encourage people that want to learn about this and go down this rabbit hole from a product management perspective, or just in general in whatever position they're in?
You've got to experiment. I mean, I think that it's intimidating at first. I mean, I remember the first time I really started messing with it, or somebody brings a new thing to you and you Google it, and it's like, I can't begin to understand that. So it's really just doing the experimentation, getting in there and not being very effective at first, learning, trial by error or trial by, and just getting in there, getting your hands dirty. I think that's the best way to do it. I've seen a lot of push down, from leadership on teams, use AI, use AI, use AI. But there's just too many options out there. So I think giving people somewhere to start is a good way to get after it, and giving people a framework to work from. But yeah, like I said, roll up your sleeves and get your hands around it.
I love it. Let's move into the leverage segment, because I think that's the key in what you're doing in a lot of things. At TechCXO, you and your team are helping to help companies turn technology into this measurable business value, right? Like that's, in my opinion, the essence of product management is like, let's take that crazy idea and get it done so that I can get money or time or whatever I'm trying to help the company do with what your output is. How are you using and seeing AI be leveraged into this day-to-day role? It's not just a pilot, but like the core of how a business is going to run in the future. Yeah.
And I can speak very, at length about doing this from the product management perspective. But think about what product management has historically been. It's you get an idea and then it's handed off to you, and you have to go do all this legwork. You have to do market research. Who's doing this today? What are they charging? How should it work? You have to do the specifications. You have to go through and write all these huge documents that you hand off to developers. Developers give it back. You have this back and forth. And then after the product is launched, you have to go and get user feedback and build these documents and build this tracking mechanism and all that. It's an incredibly cumbersome and incredibly manual process. And using AI, even very simple AI, I'm talking about just ChatGPT or Perplexity. You can take what once was a month or two process and turn it into a few days or a few weeks. I mean, seriously, thinking about the market research that goes into a new product or a new feature, that was, if you did it right, a good analyst, you're taking a week to go through and do that. Now you can have it done in 5 minutes, review it, like I said, have the Perplexity, make sure it's right, and then go to the next phase, start speccing it. And I think that as developers start to scale their output with these AI development tools, product managers are going to have a very hard time keeping up if they're not using AI. And that's a situation I don't think most of us have ever found ourselves in, where I can't make requirements fast enough to keep the dev's plate full. And so I think it's going to be very, very quick that product managers are going to get left behind if they don't start using these tools. And then leveraging them correctly it's going to be the next.
You're like spot on there. Like you're like this giant light bulb just fired off above my head because of what you just said. Like I want to go back and reiterate that point, because I'm on the flip side of it, right? Like as a CTO coming in, I'm trying to help unlock the development to use agentic development to go faster. And the places that I have unlocked it, it is doing a 5 or 10x speed enhancement. Like it is just mind blowing. That and I'm trying to tell the CEOs, like, don't worry about how much time it's going to take, because even if we goof it up, we can burn it to the ground and rebuild a new one in a week for you, because that's how fast we can go. But like, you're spot on. Like you can't keep up with the developers.
No,
because it's this flipped broken model, right? Because there's 10 developers and there's 1 or 2 of you, right?
It used to be product management pushing, saying more, and now we're getting pulled, and it's scary. It's scary. Like I've got a client where it's like, we're going to run out of stuff for you guys to do, and we have to keep up. And the only way we can do that is with AI and using that in our daily operations.
But help me break it down a little bit more with a couple more examples, because like this is my favorite area that I don't get to play enough in. Like I love the high level strategy, but I don't hardly ever get into the weeds down to the level that you're at on some of these things. And I think the biggest question I have is like, people have a lack of focus groups and seeing if this is really something they should build before they build it. Now, I think the speed of AI is going to let you just build it and see if they like it. If not, throw it out and build something else. But like, are you using AI to do some of that focus group planning research stuff, like some of the fake persona? I mean, talk to us about that piece of it. That's what I'm curious about.
Absolutely. And I mentioned it earlier, but the AI or ChatGPT has that tool where you can use the agent and you can literally build user personas. You can put your app or your product or your Figma mockups out there, tell those personas what they're going to be looking for, give them a user story. All of these are things, product managers have always done. But now, instead of having to actually have the developers build it, and as a side note, I don't know if you've seen Figma's AI tools, but whoa, like I can build an entire application in 15 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But going in and being able to do those mockups on our own, not having to engage with developers, not having to waste their time, let them focus on what they should be focused on. And then, literally build these agents and describe to them what they're supposed to be doing when they look at your app, the process they're supposed to flow, what kind of feedback you want. I don't want to say it's going to replace real user feedback. It never will do that. But anybody who's had to go out and get user feedback before knows that it's like pulling teeth sometimes to get anything quality, any good quality feedback. And with this, you can describe to them what kind of things you want them to look at, any weak points that there already exist. The agents can address those. So, I mean, that to me, that's a huge part of it. The post, the post ideation phase where you can go and get feedback in real time instantly. You don't have to wait for all those people. You don't have to curate that network of people to talk to. You can wait till you have something more baked to do that. So it's a big deal. And like I said, the requirement generation, it really, that's a huge part of it too. Being able to generate quality requirements the first time, having those using the AI to have those conversations, telling the AI, prompting the AI to ask you questions about the requirements you created. So you're getting that dev feedback before it even gets to the devs is another huge thing that I think people are kind of sleeping on in the product management field.
I love it. I agree. I mean, the other thing though I see is like a lot of leaders feel paralyzed by how many different tools are out there. There's AI stickers on everything. Mm-hmm. How are you guiding them and leading them on where do they get started? Right.
I think there's two aspects that you need to think about as a leader when you're developing your AI strategy. The first is how are you going to include it in your product? The second is how are you going to include it in your process? Product, you might disagree with me on this. I think that I caution people from just pushing AI in when AI doesn't need to be used. I think there's a lot of use cases that you don't need AI to fill that need in your product. And I think when you try to fit that, square peg into a round hole, the user or the client will be the one that suffers. They don't care that you tried to use AI. They just want the thing to work. You and I might like that they used AI and like their ideas, but the average user just wants to see that it works. So I I advocate for being responsible and being thoughtful with how you incorporate it so that you're actually adding value. So that's step one. On the other side, and I think this is more interesting, on the how you implement it with your team, what your process is that involves AI. I think governance is important, but I like to think about it more as, enablement. Giving them tools that have the governance baked in, right? Encouraging them to use the tools that you're offering that have governance baked in, and letting it come from the ground up. Nobody knows better how to optimize what they do on a daily basis than the person who is actually doing it. So from a leadership perspective, it's reminding, hey guys, make sure you're thinking about this. Give us some use case ideas. Help us develop these with you. Really, rather than pushing down and saying, do this and do it this way, working with your team to figure out what will best, address their needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's such a practical take. I mean, AI is an amplifier of the performance. It's not a replacement for the people. So I think that distinction is what separates the short-term hype bubbles that we keep hearing about from the true longer-term value that we know is coming, right? So
right. Yeah, and I mean the hype is real, right? We all know that there's noise that isn't going to translate to something, but I don't see a future where this isn't, our entire process is not run by AI. I mean, think about how much more productive Excel made people, and this is 50x that, 1000x that, infinite x that. It's a crazy time to be a part of it, and it's super exciting to be. I don't want to say I'm not on the bleeding edge, but to be very upfront there and be close to what people like you are working on.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, I think that's why I keep my sign up here. Remember why you started, right? Because I think we're going to get to be a little bit more philosophical, a little bit more thinking oriented now, because we've got the AI helping us do some of the lifting behind the scenes, which is what I think, I don't know, whatever that one anecdote is, like, up until like 1900 or something, there was just priority. Like, what's the priority? What's the one thing we've got to do today, right?
Yeah.
And then the past 100 years or so, we've introduced priorities where there's 3 things that we have to do, right? Like, you and I are worrying about, like, all right, who's picking up the kids? What are we having for dinner? How much money's in the bank account? What am I going to do for the kids this weekend? All these things that are going through our heads as we're mapping all the priorities out. So true.
What comes beyond priorities? What's the next thing? What's beyond the yes?
Yeah. Well, let's dive into the leadership. I think we've touched on a few pieces of it, but like, that's really the key. I mean, I love what you said about the bottom up approach, because I do think the people that are in it day to day have the most valuable insights on how they can have the biggest bang. But I do think that the leadership at the top is what sets the general tone and direction. Like, we're going to move this way, or we're going to move that way, or we're going to take that hill, whatever we're going to do. And that AI is changing every role, especially in the C-suite. How do you see leadership evolving in this new era?
Right. I think it's very, very important, especially as you're pushing AI, encouraging your team to use AI, to not manage by AI. I think that the fear that people have with being replaced by AI and all that, it's real. People are, actually scared of it. So I think that it's important for leadership to still have that human touch with how they do everything. But yeah, I think that at the exec level, I think it's going to streamline leaders' bandwidth, or open up bandwidth to let them really think about the things that matter. Right, the CEO who is dividing all of it, who has to be an operator more than an actual true visionary, that's going to go away. They're going to be CEOs and C-suite people are going to be able to think more about big picture, about roadmap, about where we want to go. And I think that that's going to be a huge deal. I think it's going to allow these companies that are sort of on the edge, they've got a good product, but they can't really take the next step. It's going to allow them to take that next step, because the mundane day-to-day stuff that they don't want to deal with, they won't have to. They won't have to go hire a team to do it. But and then the fear that a lot of those leaders have of handing off to someone else, that goes away. They're still overseeing it. They're just multiplying themselves via AI. So super optimistic about that. And I think each of us as individuals leading our own, I talk about it like we have our own, each human is a small business now with AI. I'm a small business and I have 15 or 16 employees that are working for me with my AI. So the same thing it's going to do for a CEO, it's going to do for me and you and everybody else as well. We're going to be able to really think about where we want to be, as opposed to, as you said, do I need to pick up the kids today? What's for dinner? Yeah. Like that'll all be taken care of, and we'll be able to think about what we want to think about.
Yeah, I love it. It's the question around, do we have to go back to school? Like, do we have to relearn how to manage people, or everybody should be taking a people management class or an AI management class of some sort? That's an interesting twist on it, right? Because I take for granted I've been managing people for many, many moons now. But a lot of people don't know how to do that, and we have to learn how to harness the AI stuff. The other thing, like, too, is like, I guess I don't see the demand going away. Like, AI isn't going to kill jobs. AI is going to make a new growth spurt of all these job titles we've never even heard of before. I don't see it going away.
There's some, I forget what it is. It's some law that it had to do with coal consumption in England, and when the machines became more efficient. And the thought was, well, we're going to use less coal now because the machines are more efficient. No, you used infinitely more coal because we can do more with it for cheaper. And that's where we're going to get better at using it. We're going to get better at leveraging it. And it's not going to eliminate roles or people or jobs. It's going to open up more and allow people to do more. It's very exciting.
Just like electricity and water and everything else has done. So how do you go back, and you're at the C-suite level yourself here, where you're talking and guiding executives who feel this pressure to have an AI strategy, but they don't know where to start? What would you tell them?
I would say start with your daily life, or your daily work life. Where can you do things to make yourself more streamlined? That's the thing that it's such a hard gap to jump, that first step, to just really get into it and figure out how to use it and how to implement it at your company. I think what a lot of leaders do is they say, I want AI, I want to do it everywhere I can, but they themselves don't really know what that means. They don't know what AI can unlock. They don't know what AI can do. They've heard of ChatGPT. Maybe they've used it for, as a replacement for Google, but they've never actually, leveraged it as a tool to help them scale. So I advocate for people to use it on their own, really encourage them to play with it and understand it before they develop their strategy. Because that's the understanding how to implement it for yourself will unlock it for the rest of your company and the rest of your team.
Yeah.
And I think that a good way for leaders to learn is to, talk to their people. I guarantee that every company has some person there who is maybe not an expert, but who is very experienced in using AI for something or another. There's nobody at this point, we're far enough along. Mm-hmm. There's nowhere that you don't have that role. So reaching out to your team and learning from them, that's a good place to start as well.
Yeah. Do you have any stories or something that made a real mindset shift from like skepticism to confidence with AI?
Yeah. I wouldn't say skepticism. I was drinking the Kool-Aid a long time ago, but
we all have. We wouldn't be on this podcast if we weren't addicted to it. But have you seen any leaders or?
Yeah, I've seen adoption at levels where. Can I give a shout out here? Can I give a shout out to?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I'm gonna give a shout out to Dawn. You know Dawn. Shout out to Dawn.
Yeah.
The tool. She's a product manager, senior product manager, and some of the processes that she's put in place on her own have unlocked her capability and her role as a product manager to scale herself to three or four Dawns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that to me, just seeing her do that on her own she was given the tools, but just seeing the things that she implemented with it through her own creativity, super inspiring. And that's the way I look at it. That's the thing I want to see. I want to see teams coming up with new use cases, finding ways without being told you need to do this, finding ways to come up with these solutions on their own. And I think leaders fostering that sort of environment is amazing. It's a super, super positive thing, both for the employee, but also for the company as a whole. So yeah, I love seeing things like that where people use their own creativity and scale their creativity via AI.
I love it. I really, really like that. I mean, leading with that curiosity, transparency, instead of this like certainty. Yeah. It's such an important reminder that like leadership is in this age of AI isn't about having all the answers, but it's like creating the right culture that lets them be ready to learn together and figure it out. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Brooks, this has been so much fun. Thanks for joining me today on the podcast. How do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your amazing fractional product leadership skills?
So they can find me on LinkedIn. I don't know my exact LinkedIn URL. Do people memorize that? But they can find me on LinkedIn, and that's the best place to find me. They can send me emails. They can call me. However anybody wants to get in touch, I welcome it.
But you have to be careful here. Are there a million Brooks Morrisons on LinkedIn, or like there's only one or two Brian Densteads? That's pretty easy. But like, am I going to find you quickly on LinkedIn?
Can I post the URL? Can we share the URL?
Yeah. I'll make sure the URL's in the show notes for everybody that's curious and wants to reach out. But awesome. He's the handsome guy based in South Carolina of
the red beard and South Carolina product manager. That's the Brooks Morrison you're looking for.
Perfect. Good. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation, Brooks. Thanks for your insights. I mean, it was so great to hear about how many different ideas you have on how to unlock this AI theory to AI practice. I really think it's a strong indication of how strategy and technology really have to evolve together. So,
yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great. I love talking shop with you. So yeah, would love to talk to you again offline sometime. It's been great.
Perfect. Well, if you're listening to this episode, make sure you follow us, AI with Bry, on almost any social media channel. Please leave us a review or share it with someone who's curious about how AI is shaping the future of leadership. You can learn more about Brooks and the work that TechCXO is doing at techcxo.com, and check out Brooks at Brooks Morrison on LinkedIn. And I'll make sure all those things are in the show notes. Again, I'm Brian Denstead, and I'll see you next week. And remember, the future doesn't wait, so learn, leverage, and lead with AI. This episode of AI with Bry was hosted and produced by me, Brian Denstead. Produced with help from Nancy Velasquez and Kelly Lopez. Video by Leo Moralina. Sound AI generated. Find us on all platforms at AI with Bry and visit ai.bry.net for more. Learn, leverage, lead.